Sandy, how did you happen to end up in our Community of Christ Church, and what drew you to it?
Mom was a member, and Dad was a kind of a lukewarm Methodist. And so it was expected that I would go to church. Methodist church was only 2 doors away. We lived next to the parsonage for the Methodist church. But the RLDS church was about 25 miles away. It was a really small congregation, and Mom won out. We would drive to Minden City in Michigan, and I eventually, at the age of 10, decided that it was time for me to join the church. That's kind of my story. How about yours?
It's a lot like mine.
Uh-huh.
I was born into a church family. All the family members were members of the church, and it was just expected, of course, that I would go to church, and at the right age I would be baptized, and I wanted to, of course. And I lived in Warrensburg. It was the central place for the stake, so it was a large congregation, really.
That's here in Missouri.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there were lots of people my age, children my age, and it was just a natural thing to do. And I looked forward to being baptized, and of course wanted to do it.
Well, when we lived in Michigan, it was my great-great-grandfather that was an elder in the church.
Wow.
And I think he worked with J.J. Cornish, because he was important in that area. And of course, my parents took me to church, and so I went to Michigan to church in Minden City until I was probably 12, and then we moved to Missouri.
Had you been baptized yet up to 12?
No, I had not. I was baptized in Noster, and when I
in the lake?
Here, no, in their font.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Why weren't you baptized at Warrensburg?
Because they didn't have a font at that time.
Oh.
So we had to go to Noster. How did you start going to church?
I had to. It was my mom and dad saying, "Get ready, we're going to church." And we didn't have a car, so we had to walk.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
it was only, about 5-6 blocks, something like that, not too bad. So we walked to church, or I ran most of the way. And we had a small congregation, 5, 6, 7 families, and they came from surrounding towns around. So I pretty well was just, it was a thing to do.
So how did you come to Community of Christ?
Through you. That was my experience. It took me a while because I had my work schedule. But yeah, he always kept talking about me at church, and they keep wondering when I'm going to show up. And when I did show up, it was really very welcoming, and it was a nice environment.
We've had a good experience, haven't we?
But yeah, love the very positive feeling and casual, and yeah, feels like home.
Well, mine is a little different story because my family has been part of the church since Palmyra, New York. So I've got a long history back in the church. But so I've been, since a little kid, part of the church.
So it's just been 5 years for me. Is it? I mean, not about our 7.
We've been together 8, so yeah, it's about 8 years.
Okay, time.
Yeah,
8 years. So, but yeah, yours is pretty much your life.
My whole life, yeah. It's been interesting because I've met so many other people who have that same experience in the church, and that's kind of grounded me, having that long history in the church. Although there was a time that I left the church, but I was drawn back again by some advertisement about the fact that they'd become open and welcoming to members of the gay community. And so I made a effort to come and check it out.
Yeah. And you liked it?
I did. Yeah, really.